Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater, and I just got done checking out Netflix's original film, Spenser Confidential. This is one that I know came out a little over a month ago, but I've been really busy during the quarantine, mostly being not home because I've been working during the quarantine. And so I finally got a chance to sit down tonight and give it a watch. And I have to say, I was very happy with what I saw. And the reason why is because I saw the trailer originally back at the end of February, and I kind of knew exactly what kind of movie this was going to be. Mark Wahlberg with Winston Duke, directed by Peter Berg. I mean, especially Mark Wahlberg and Peter Berg teaming up again for what feels like more times than quite literally any other director and actor out there. And I don't mind it because they always make a good team. And this was definitely something a little bit on the different side. So the story is definitely modified from the book Wonderland, written by Ace Atkins, which was based off of the character of Spenser, written originally by Robert B. Parker. And keep in mind, there's like over 40 books in this franchise, and it was a TV show back in the 80s with Robert Ulrich, and they're now bringing it back onto Netflix. And I have to say, yeah, more please, 100% more please. This was a lot of fun. So the story is that, after beating the crap out of his lieutenant, former Boston police officer Spenser ended up getting out of prison and ends up stumbling across, a very, very, very bad group of people who are all trying to take over the Wonderland, which is basically a dog track in the city. And they're trying to turn it into this new family-friendly resort, and they're funneling all of this bad, bad, bad money into it from different drug cartels and mobsters and bad cops and things like that. And so, of course, Spenser starts to unravel this mystery with his buddy Hawk, played by Winston Duke, who is a boxer, like a boxer in training or an MMA fighter in training. And they end up going and very much solving this mystery. The movie, it's exactly how you would think it would play out, right? You're not going to go into this movie and you're going to be blown away by anything in particular. And I don't mean that in the negative. I really don't mean that in the negative. The movie itself is very straightforward about what it wants to be, and it hits it on, I believe, a vast majority of the factors. So for one, let's talk about Mark Wahlberg as Spenser. It's Mark Wahlberg with the Boston accent beating the crap out of people in Boston. It's not it's not a big stretch for Mark Wahlberg as an actor, right? It's just not a big stretch for him. We get that at this point. Winston Duke coming off of, M'Baku, whatever his name was, from Black Panther, is playing, a bit different of a character. Hawk is much more of a gentle giant versus a warrior, king, as he was in that movie. But they have a good chemistry together. They work well together. Alan Arkin is in it. I love me a lot of Alan Arkin. And, he definitely, I think, steals most of the scenes he's in. You have Bokeem Woodbine as Driscoll, the former partner to Spenser. And I kept thinking to myself all the way through, I'm like, where have I seen Bokeem Woodbine? For one, where has Bokeem, been anyway, right? Or Bokeem, where has he been? When's the last time you really saw him pop up in much outside of Spider-Man Homecoming? That was a couple of years ago. But there was a couple of years where we really didn't see much out of him. And he was big back in the 90s, so to speak. A lot of bit parts, but I think were memorable, definitely. And one of my favorites, though, was him with Mark Wahlberg in the 1999 movie The Big Hit, which was an over-the-top crazy ass movie for the late 90s. If you've never seen it, it might be on Netflix. Give it a watch. We might have to do a watch party for that movie because it's so crazy. I'm not too sure how it holds up 20 years later, but I remember watching it a lot back in the day. And so seeing them on screen together again was a lot of fun. Mark Maron shows up for a couple different scenes. He didn't have much to do in the movie, to be fair. He just kind of showed up as a reporter, and they talked to him a couple times, and there wasn't like a lot of backstory. And he didn't get a lot of his signature attitude. He didn't get a lot of like the snarkiness that he would get in something like Glow. But I thought he did well enough for what he was in there for. Iliza Shlesinger, I'm going to mispronounce that completely. She was always kind of like the standout and not necessarily in the best possible way. Like, I feel she tried too hard with the Boston accent, and like her attitude worked really well as a counter to Spenser, because she was always like, cursing up a storm and very much aware of the fact that she's hot and she's sexy and she's horny and all those things. And she loves Spenser and all that stuff. And they have a very love-hate relationship, but you can also see exactly where it's going. There's a really funny sex scene between the two of them when he's been in prison for 5 years, and she kind of, he's getting ready to finish. And she's like, don't you dare finish before me. Sissy always finishes first. And it's like, they don't shy away from it. It's not fast. It's a very quick scene. And there was a good reason for that. Again, 5 years. So it's not going to last very long. And that was pretty funny. The story was good. It was, again, basic. You could see pretty much all the plot points coming from when we started watching the movie. I looked at my girlfriend. I'm like, oh, that's the bad guy. She's like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm 100% sure. And then I turns out I was right. So there's that. But if I recall, I do remember seeing what I thought was John Leguizamo in the trailer. I have to watch that again, but I might be wrong. I might be thinking of something else, and he wasn't in the movie. No, again, there's a fair amount of fight scenes, all, physical combat, basically Mark Wahlberg getting his ass handed to him quite a bit, by a bunch of, cops and other inmates. And then eventually, gangsters with machetes, which just seems like a normal thing for South Boston. And then they get into a bit of a gunfight later on, and for the finale, and it was kind of fast, right? Like the trailer built it up as it's going to be this massive shootout and a lot of action, and all they have are two guns. They have a sawed-off shotgun and a gun, a pistol. There's not a lot there, and there's not a lot of gunplay, but there's a lot of physical combat, which I think Peter Berg plays up quite well to kind of compensate for not having that type of gunplay, especially in the opening fight scene in the prison, which if you watch the trailer, you do get to see a bit of that one, and it is Mark Wahlberg messing up a whole bunch of dudes, and also Post Malone, who does have a couple more scenes in the movie. And I like Post Malone, so hopefully they bring him into more of the film. If I'm going to talk about negatively speaking, like even though the story was simple, that kind of also impacts in my mind, it kind of also impacts the overall quality, because it was very just straightforward, Netflix movies, they kind of have that problem sometimes. Like Six Underground very much had that problem of just a very disjointed story. This is not that, but it was very straightforward, very much what you would expect from procedurally written detective novels from back in the day and procedurally written movies. But what carries the movie is the chemistry between Mark Wahlberg and not only Peter Berg, because they work very well together, but Winston Duke and Alan Arkin and Bokeem Woodbine and Iliza Shlesinger or whatever the hell her name is, and everyone else in the movie too. He was doing the Mark Wahlberg thing. But, Mark Wahlberg in my mind has always been kind of looking for a franchise. And I think this is going to be it. I was reading an article on Reddit that said, like, this movie in the last month has been streamed like 12.5 billion times. No, sorry, not billion times, minutes worth. There's been 12.5 billion minutes watched of this movie. Not that many times. There's not many people. But I do think a lot of people out there over the course of the last month have found themselves growing attached to it. It feels like one of those made-for-TV type movies. Think like Rockford Files or Columbo. Nowhere near as cool, because you're never going to be as cool as James Garner, right? You're never going to be as cool as Peter Falk. Mark Wahlberg isn't. He just isn't. But the way the movie ended was setting up a sequel, and what I loved was, like, you could tell he's like, I'm gonna do the right thing. I'm gonna always do the right thing. And then he's puts in this position where clearly he's gonna want to go do the right thing, and everyone around him who just survived this whole ordeal is like, turn the channel, no, and then he's all like, yeah, and then it ends, and you're like, all right, cool, like, we're clearly gonna get a sequel. And I think given the popularity of this and the fact that a lot of people out there really seem to like it, is one of the things that's ultimately going to end up giving us a sequel. And I'm hoping for it, by the way. I'm really hoping for it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to keep going with this now that we have the world established, the characters established. We can then take it to the next level, up the stakes a little bit, so on and so forth. But it does kind of harken back to the late 80s, early 90s versions of like buddy cop movies. And I like that quite a bit because that's what I grew up watching. So for me, that's what I grew up watching, where the elderly that are also quarantined right now, that are, that have been reading these books since the 1970s, they might watch this and go, oh, I really like this because of that. And then the new generation of people coming in who like Mark Wahlberg or are just looking for something to watch, or who just pay attention to the top 10 trending on Netflix will watch this and go, oh, okay, cool. So I think that's going to be very interesting. And at the end of the day, I'm very happy that it exists. I'm very happy that it's here, and I look forward to whatever comes next. Now I'm just waiting for the announcement. But given where we are right now with the current pandemic, it probably won't be announced for a while, or it might be announced, but it definitely won't come out for a while. But I really want to know what you guys have to say about this. I am thinking about doing the very first episode of It Came from Netflix, which is a live stream I want to do where we watch a movie and then we discuss it live on a live stream. I think we could do that. That'd be a lot of fun. And we could put that out for this movie maybe next week or something. I'll set up a time we can do it. But otherwise, I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, good, bad, or the other. Let me know down in the comment section. I'll talk to you guys all later. Have yourself a great day. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for subscribing, liking this channel, keeping it alive during this crazy ass time. And if you have any movies on Netflix you want me to check out and review, let me know. Don't say Tiger King because I am working on it. Okay, I am working on it. 8 episodes, 8-hour investment. I am trying to find the time. Anyway, I will talk to you guys all later. Have yourself a great day. Thank you again, and peace out.